Good morning or good evening, wherever you are. So we're just going to introduce ourselves. My name is Tiffany Brown, and I'm the Global Education Advisor here at UGA, and I've been here since January 2019.
And as I was saying, my name is Sarah Quinn. I have been a Global Education Advisor here at UGA since June 2018. And you all will be my third group of incoming exchange students. So I'm really excited to meet you all and put some faces to some names.
Okay, so we're just going to review the agenda for this webinar. So we're going to talk about applying to UGA, which some of you have already started doing. Talking about StudyAway Portal, some resources we have for you, our program information pages, application overviews for both undergraduates and graduate applicants, important application materials, course requests, UGA Housing, upcoming steps, and our timeline.
And so something that we just wanted to clarify at the very beginning of this is that with the UGA Exchange Program, there are 2 applications to be part of this one UGA Exchange Program. So in order to become an exchange student at UGA, you do have to complete an application with the University of Georgia. So if you are a graduate student, that means filling out an application with the graduate school. If you're an undergraduate student, that means applying to UGA undergraduate admissions. And then you also have to complete an application with our office. So that's the Office of Global Engagement, and that's through our StudyAway Portal. The majority of you have, at this point, completed both of those applications, but this is just to clarify, again, that there are 2 different applications. And so for those of you who might not have applied to UGA yet, if you're an undergraduate student, you can click on that link, and again, we'll send you this this webinar when we're finished, so you'll have access to all this information. Some quick notes: there is an application fee that is on this particular application. You do not need to pay that fee. As a UGA Exchange student, that has been waived for you. So please select the option to pay by check or fee waiver at the end, and then you will not end up needing to pay that. Additionally, many of you have reached out to our office because an email has been generated after completing this application that you need to submit your home university transcripts and language proficiency scores. So that's referring to your TOEFL or IELTS score. You all do not need to upload these to your admissions application. You can ignore that email that's coming from admissions. Our office is actually responsible for submitting those 2 documents for you. You do need to upload both of those documents to the StudyAway Portal. So make sure that you do that close to the time you are applying to UGA admissions. But again, I want to emphasize you do not need to submit this to UGA undergraduate admissions, even though you're getting an email from them saying that you're missing those items. If you're a graduate student, you do need to apply to the graduate school using the link that is provided here. A little bit different of a requirement for our graduate students. The graduate school requires a bachelor's degree and a transcript from your home institution. These need to be first translated into English where applicable, and we need an original copy as well. These should be sent from your coordinator or from your school directly. I'm not going to accept documents that have been sent by students. Additionally, no scans or copies are going to be accepted. And so your coordinator will need to send those directly to the graduate school. However, you can scan and upload copies of those to the StudyAway Portal so that we can have access to those as well. So these applications to the University of Georgia do need to be submitted by March 15th. That is our institutional deadline. If you think that you're going to have difficulty meeting that deadline, please let us know as soon as possible.
Okay, so this is the StudyAway Portal, which is our homepage. And so to highlight here the incoming exchange section, front page, you'll see a list of information, for example, about UGA, some resources for you, which is going to include information about the webinar that you're hearing today, and apply to UGA. Okay, so resources. You all should have access to the Incoming Student Exchange Handbook. If any of you do not have that handbook, please let us know after this webinar or in the chat section. Have that for the application, for pre-arrival, and for graduate exchange student handbook as well. You have instructional videos on YouTube. One is creating a StudyAway account. We're going to post this webinar on YouTube, and we have some upcoming webinars for post-acceptance and the other, post-acceptance webinar, and that will be March 29th.
And I just want to quickly emphasize that these all of these handbooks have been created and added to over the years of and they're very thorough. So if you have a question about your application, or after you've been accepted, you have a question about, prior to arrival, or you have a question post-arrival, we would really encourage you all to go to these go to these handbooks first for your questions. And then if you're still not finding the information there, go ahead and email us. But we're really finding that most of the questions that we're getting right now can be answered if you're going to these exchange handbooks first.
Great. So we're on the program information page, which again, you can find through clicking on information here at the incoming exchange part of our website. And here you'll see different applications. The incoming exchange graduate student program, for graduate students, the Incoming Exchange Intensive English Program for students who are coming to learn English, and the Incoming Exchange Undergraduate Student Program.
And just a little side note here, you should only be completing one of these applications. So if you are an IEP student, you would not also create an undergraduate student application. If you're an undergraduate, you would not also be completing a graduate student application. So make sure that you only have one application, and if you've accidentally created a duplicate or you've accidentally created an application in the wrong program, just let us know and we can either withdraw your duplicate application or switch your incorrect application.
So on these program information pages, which you'll see at the bottom once you've clicked on one of the links, you'll find information about the University of Georgia, about Athens, Georgia, where we're located, courses and registration, program costs, housing, meal plan, disability resources, and quite a bit more information. So if there are any questions that you have after reading this, you can always email us and ask us as well. Okay, so application components. So many of you have already started and a few have already completed your application. So there are a few parts to be mindful of. So we have the questionnaire section, and this is just text fields for you to complete. And when these are submitted, they're checked off as received. For signature documents, this is information that you need to read and electronically sign. And when these are submitted, they're checked off as received. And a lot of this just gives us permission to ask for certain information. So for material submissions, these are external documents that you'll need to upload. That could be copies of your transcript or scans of your passport. So these should be legible, meaning we can read them in English, and information that's clear. So when these are submitted, they need to be reviewed by our office, and there will tend to be about 3 to 5 days between receiving that and between us giving you confirmation that we've received this information. So please be patient with us. If there are any problems with your submissions, we will reach out to you about them. Okay, So some of the things we'll ask in the questionnaires for undergraduates, that'll be passport information, personal information, incoming student application information, UGA campus housing request, and home institution or program sponsor contact information. For signature documents, we're going to ask you for authorization to release your records to the home institution. So when you finish sending your transcript back, authorization to release UGA transcript, immigration and request for DS 2019 exchange student status, mandatory health insurance enrollment, submitting course requests, and submitting the health immunization form. For material submissions, we'll be asking for completed course requests, in-progress academic subjects, official home university transcripts, a scan of your passport, TOEFL and or IELTS English scores, and UGA undergraduate admissions applications. For graduate exchange, for our questionnaires, we'll be asking you similar information: passport information, personal information, incoming student application information, UGA campus housing requests for graduate students, as well as home institution or program sponsor contact information. For our signature documents, we'll be asking for authorization to release records to the home institution, authorization to release your UGA transcript, the English language proficiency requirement, graduate course request and registration, immigration and request for DS 2019 exchange student status, mandatory health insurance enrollment, and submitting the health immunization form. So for material submissions, we'll be asking you for a certificate of finances, graduate school application, a graduate student official home university transcript, a passport scan upload, as well as your TOEFL or IELTS English score. So that was quite a bit of information. If any of you have any questions, feel free to type that now.
Okay, so we have one question. If you don't have a passport yet or it's in the process of being made, that's totally fine. What we'll ask for you to do is just send us a quick email to let us know that it's in the process of being made, and we'll make a note in your StudyAway application. And then just as soon as you are able to get a scan to us, we'll go ahead and upload that. Are there any other questions? Okay, great. So we'll just move on to the next section. So this section, we're going to go through some of the specifics of those items that Tiffany just mentioned. So the first is the TOEFL or the IELTS English score. So this is a requirement of admission to the University of Georgia. This is across the board what they ask of any international student who is enrolling in the university. Any other English tests are unfortunately not going to be accepted. So you will have to take a test with either TOEFL or IELTS. You will need to scan a copy of your official test report, and you can see examples of those official test reports to the right. And these will need to be uploaded to the StudyAway portal. If you have not taken your English test yet, we would encourage you to take the test as soon as possible, simply because the official score reports can take weeks to generate. I think it's an average of like 3 to 6 weeks. And official admission to the University of Georgia does depend on you meeting that minimum score requirement. So just to underscore, you will not be accepted to the University of Georgia until we have those official score reports and can confirm that you have met the score minimums. For undergraduate applicants, those minimum scores are for the TOEFL an 80 and for IELTS a 6.5. For graduate students, you will need to send your scores directly to the graduate school using the code 5813. So if you've already taken the TOEFL and you already have those score reports generated, you will have to request that your score report is sent from from ETS to the graduate school. If you are planning on taking the TOEFL soon, you can select the UGA graduate school as a recipient of one of those score reports. And I believe you have up to 3 schools that you can send those score reports to for free. So use the code to send it to the UGA graduate school specifically. Do not select the individual department that you're hoping to be a part of or to UGA undergraduate admissions. So again, use that code 5813 if you are a graduate student. So some of you are coming from universities where you're in a country that English is not the official language, but your university's official language of instruction is English. So for example, our students coming from Maastricht University, which is in the Netherlands, which is not English is not an official language, but the official language of instruction at that particular university is English. You can get a statement of English proficiency in place of that TOEFL or IELTS requirement. So a sample of this sort of a letter is to the right on this slide. This should come directly from your exchanges coordinator, and this can be uploaded to the StudyAway portal. Please do not simply check off the box and say that it's not applicable to you. We do need this official letter in order for immigration to have this sort of documentation of your English proficiency, in addition to the UGA undergraduate admissions or graduate admissions. You can always encourage your exchanges coordinator to reach out to us if they have any questions about this, or you can send them this particular example, excuse me, and they can copy the wording as necessary. So for your home university transcripts, we do require that you have an official scanned copy of your home university transcript. We do also require a translation of that transcript into English. If your university does not issue documents in English, this does need to be translated by a certified official, and both the original copy and the translation should be uploaded to the StudyAway portal. If your transcript does not contain your in-progress subjects, so these are the classes that you're currently enrolled in and you haven't been issued a grade in yet, we do ask that you submit a second document, and this can be just a simple Word document, listing those current in-progress subjects. And then you can upload this to the StudyAway portal under the tag of the in-progress subjects. And we ask for this because it helps with facilitating the course requests. It shows what subjects you're taking right now in case there's a prerequisite requirement for a subject that you are requesting for the fall. For our graduate applicants, as I mentioned earlier, there's a slightly different requirement. Your exchange coordinator must send a copy of your bachelor's degree and your transcript, both in the original language and the English translation, to the graduate school, and that address is listed below. So scanned copies directly from the student are not acceptable for purposes of enrollment in the graduate school, but you can upload them to the StudyAway portal so that we can have access to what classes you've taken and what prerequisites you may have for your course requests. So help forms are another requirement that we do have. These are technically not required until your post-acceptance, but we encourage students to start working on them as early as possible because there are some series of vaccinations that require additional doses within a few months of each other. So there are 2 forms that we'll need for you to fill out. The first is a certificate of immunization, and then the second is a tuberculosis screening form. So these documents must be printed out, completed by you, and then signed by a doctor confirming what you filled out. Then you can scan them and upload them to the StudyAway portal. So these are required prior to your course registration, which is at the end of April. And the sooner you can complete them and turn them in, the earlier we'll be able to get you access to your classes. So just to explain a bit, all of our incoming exchange students, and actually all students at the university, come in with a hold on your account that prevents you from being able to sign up for classes. So as soon as you complete these health forms, that hold will be lifted and you will be able to sign up for classes starting at the end of April. So some general guidelines for completing these forms. Vaccines, in all the vaccines that we are requiring for entrance to the University of Georgia should not have been taken before 1 year, being 1 year old. And so if any of these vaccinations were taken prior to being 1 year old, you will have to take them again. If any of these vaccines require a second dose, that second dose should be taken no less than 28 days after the first dose. So if you had taken the second dose prior to 28 days before the second, or if you had taken your second dose within that 28-day window of the first dose, you will have to get that second dose again. And then if you've gotten a tetanus vaccine before, it should not be older than 10 years. So if it's older than 10 years, you will have to get that tetanus vaccine again. So moving through the specific forms, the only required immunizations are the MMR, which is measles, mumps, and rubella, varicella, which is chickenpox, and then the Tdap, which covers tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. Hepatitis B and meningococcal vaccines are listed here, but if you'll see on the far right, it does say that these are not required. So for Hep B, this is only required for students who will be 18 years or younger on the first day of class. So if you are older than 18 right now, or you will be older than 18 when you come for your first day of class here at UGA, this is an optional vaccine. For meningococcal, for that vaccine, that is going to be just strongly recommended for students who will be living on on-campus housing. It is not required. So for this certificate of vaccination, we ask that you go ahead and fill out this document with the dates that you've received those vaccines. Take them to a local physician or doctor for verification. Self-reported history of diseases is not acceptable. So for example, if you can anecdotally say, oh yes, I had chickenpox when I was 6 years old, that's not going to count for purposes of this certificate of immunization. So if you don't have a record of having that vaccine or that disease, you can get what is called a titer test. So this is a blood test that will show if you have an immunity in your blood to that particular disease. So if you opt for this titer test, you can fill out the form as necessary and then submit your lab reports to show that immunity. So the second form that we ask you to fill out is a tuberculosis screening questionnaire. So we ask that you read through those questions thoroughly and then answer yes or no. If your answer is yes to question number 2, which is, were you born in one of the countries listed below that has a high incidence of active tuberculosis, you do need to circle that related country. If your answer is no to all questions 1 through 6, you only need to sign the bottom of that first form and date it, and you are done. You do not need to complete the next 2 pages. However, if you did answer yes to any of the questions on this first page, you do need to complete one of the following: either a tuberculin skin test or a TST, or an interferon gamma release assay or IGRA. You do not need to fill out the next two documents yourself. A doctor should complete those for you. And then you do need to include the lab reports at the end of this questionnaire. If you have any positive tuberculosis results, you will need to also complete a chest x-ray. And so all of this is outlined here. So first, the doctor will complete a TB symptom check. And again, this is only for people who checked a yes on the previous page. If there was a no, you proceed to numbers 2 and 3 to complete one of those two tests. And then if you had a positive reaction in either 2 or 3, you do need to get that chest x-ray and have the last part completed. Please note that the doctor should be completing this section down here with their own information. So their name, their phone number, the address of their practice, the city, state, and zip code, and then their signature and date. Okay, that was a lot of information. Are there any questions regarding those forms? Okay, so we have a question. If the website is closed after the 15th of March, how can I upload my TOEFL score? Okay, so we've been getting this question about the TOEFL score from several students. So if you are planning on taking the TOEFL after that deadline, just let us know, send us an email after this webinar, and we'll go ahead and work with you on a case-by-case basis to make sure that you're going to be able to be admitted to the university. Is it possible for my exchange coordinator to send my degree and transcript via email to the graduate school? That's an excellent question. I think in the past they've required physical copies to be mailed, but go ahead and send me an email and we can check and see if there's going to be an exception for that. Are there any other questions regarding those documents that we just went over? Okay. So now we're going to go over course requests. You all should have received an email earlier this week sort of detailing this information, but we're going to go over it again and just go through it with some screenshots and make sure that everyone's on the same page about course requests. So as an overview, we have developed this course request system to make sure that everyone has access to the courses that they need in the most organized and time-efficient way possible. I want to emphasize that by filling out a course request, you're not registering for the courses. This is simply a way for us to facilitate the permissions that you need for your courses. So you will be signing up for courses as a separate process later in April, and we'll send you different emails about that process. So right now, we're just focusing on the course request process, which is a way for you to make sure you have the appropriate permissions to sign up for those courses that you want in April. So this course request system is not for every course you want to take at UGA. So there are a variety of courses that do not require any permissions. So for example, a lot of our introductory courses, which are typically in the 1,000 to 2,000 level, they are open to anyone to sign up for. So some examples might include like a PE class, a physical education class, so that's a PE DB 1000, or perhaps an intro to Spanish, Spanish 1000, 1001. Those are the types of courses that do not require permission, and so anyone can sign up for those. However, most of you are looking into at least one or two classes if not more, that do require permissions or prerequisite classes. So for example, we have a lot of business students who are interested in taking like a Marketing 3000 course. That course does have both permission of major and it has some prerequisites. So prerequisites are courses that you need to have taken before taking that particular class. So you might need to have taken a statistics class or a math class, and perhaps you have taken that class at your university. So you would need to let us know that you have the necessary prerequisites to take that class. And the way that you're going to do it is through this course request system. So this course request system is for courses you want to have that you want to take that do have permissions or prerequisites. So please remember that UGA is a really large school. You're entering into a population of around 30,000 undergraduate students. And we only have about 60 or 70 exchange students who are going to be here in the fall. That's a very small population within the school. So keep in mind that our office is your point of contact for course requests. If you have specific questions about a course or permissions, do not reach out to the professors or the department or other advisors in other schools without speaking to us first. We need to help facilitate those introductions to make sure that you are getting the most accurate information possible. So, to start out the course request process, we first invite you to go to the UGA Bulletin, which is hyperlinked right there. The UGA Bulletin is a website that has all of the courses that are offered at UGA. This is where you can find if a course has a permission or a prerequisite necessary for you to enroll. You can also find when this course will typically be offered. So it will specify if this is a spring course or a fall course, or if it's not offered regularly. You will also be able to find a short course description. You'll be able to find out how many hours that course is worth. And I will specify this is by UGA standards. So if you have questions about what our credit hours translate to for your home university, I would encourage you to reach out to your home university coordinator to get that specific information. There are also links to old syllabi. I know that many of our exchange students need syllabi of a particular course that they want to take to make sure that it transfers back to their home university. And this is an excellent place to get that information. So this is what the UGA Bulletin will look like. I would encourage you all to spend some time searching for courses. You can do so by prefix. So for example, we have a lot of business students, and maybe you're looking at those finance courses. You can find those in this drop-down menu right here, and then specify by number here. Or if you already know what prefix and what number you're looking for, you can enter those into the boxes here and just press go. So as I mentioned, you can find the course ID, which is how you're going to sign up with that course in April, and this is also what you'll be requesting on your course request. You can find how many hours it's worth here, find its official course title, a short course description, those prerequisites that you're going to need. So anyone who wants permission to take Finance 4000 at UGA will need a prerequisite of Finance 3000 or Finance 3000H or Finance 3000E. And if you're interested in finding out, well, what exactly is covered in Finance 3000, you can take that course ID, type it up in here, press go, and then you'll get that short course description and some syllabi that you can look at. And so it may be your course at your home university that you've taken is not called Finance 3000. It has a different name or number, but it essentially covers the same thing. it is likely that you have met that prerequisite and will be eligible for Finance 4000. And so you'll need to fill out all of this in your course request. Now, alternatively, we have an example over here of a course that does not have a prerequisite. So perhaps you're interested in taking this accounting course, Accounting 1160. This is a survey of accounting. It's also worth 3 hours. We've got our course description here, but there's no mention of a prerequisite or a permission. So I would go ahead and say this is a class that probably you can openly enroll in without requesting any permissions. And so you do not need to fill out a course request for a course that does not list any prerequisites or permissions here. So once you have gone through the bulletin and you've identified some classes that you're interested in taking, you then need to cross-reference this with our schedule of classes. And so if you go to that link there, you will find a link to Fall 2019 classes. So this is a tool for finding out specifically which courses are going to be offered at UGA during a specific term. So for all of you, we want to see which classes specifically will be available in fall 2019. Additionally, you'll find out some very specific information about how many different course sections will be offered, what time those different courses will be offered, who's teaching it, which campus it will be offered at, etc. So this is an example of what you'll find when you look at the schedule of courses. So as you can see, you might be interested in taking English 1101, which is a course without any prerequisites, so any of you could enroll in it without making a course request. As you can see, a lot of people take English 1101, and so there are a lot of different sections open. So when you're making your course request, it's very helpful for us to see which course exactly you would want to be enrolling in. So what's helpful over here is the CRN number so that we know when you're requesting permission to take this course, which again, you would not need permission to take this particular course, but you could go over here and say, okay, I'm interested in taking English 1101, but I would like to be enrolled in this particular CRN, so 25128. Because I want to take this class on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 11:15 a.m. to 12:05 p.m. You can also find out which building it's going to be in, which room number it's going to be in, what campus it's going to be on, and I really want to emphasize, make sure that you're selecting classes that are offered on the Athens campus. We have several other campuses, but those are hours away, and so there is likely not a feasible way you would be able to take those courses while here at UGA. Additionally, as we get closer to the fall semester, the instructors' names will be listed here. So after you have looked at courses in the bulletin and then cross-referenced them with the schedule of courses, you can determine which courses you want to take, if you need to request permission to take that course, and then determine which course you want to request. So which section of a particular course do you want permission for? So then you can go to our course request form. So first you'll create an account with FormSite, and that can be accessed through this link, and then you will complete the requested information. So again, we want to emphasize this form is only necessary for you to request your courses. And we do want to emphasize that even if you're requesting a course, we cannot guarantee that you will get access to that course. So some possible limitations that may prevent you from taking a course, even if you have those prerequisites. Well, first of all, maybe you don't have the necessary prerequisites. It is not our job to determine whether or not you have those prerequisites. We'll be turning those over to advisors or to professors to make that assessment. And so even if you have a similar class that professor may say, you know what, this isn't the exact information I would require them to have before taking my request or before taking my class. So they may not grant you permission based on the prerequisites that you have. If you do have the prerequisites, it's possible that you still won't get a space in a class because the course is in high demand, it's already been filled, or it's exclusive to degree-seeking students. And so this means degree-seeking students at the University of Georgia. Additionally, business, journalism, public relations, and international affairs students have very specific limitations about what courses you will be allowed to enroll in. And I did send those out via email earlier this week, but if you need those again, let me know and we can send those to you. Last, no courses in our law school or in our veterinary medicine school are open to exchange students. So even if you request them and have the prerequisites necessary, those will not be granted. And so this is what our course request form looks like. As you can see, there's space for 4 different course requests that are your priority courses. These are the ones you are really hoping to enroll in. And then the courses below are 4 alternate options. So these are the backup classes in case you don't get permission for these 4. So this is where you would type in the 4-letter abbreviation. So using our previous example, finance, this would be where you type in FINA, where you type in the number, so 4,000, where you type in that CRN. This isn't required, but we encourage you to fill out this information in case there is a specific section you'd like permission for. The title of the class, the credit amount, so for Finance 4000, this was a 3-credit course. Does this require a prerequisite? Yes. And then you can list what prerequisites are there. And do you have the prerequisite to take this course? And you can say, yes, I took something very similar to Finance 3000. And then any other comments that you think would be helpful for our office in determining whether or not you are qualified to take this particular course. So most of you will fill this section up and then have maybe 1 or 2 other courses that you would like permission for. I've been getting a lot of questions about, well, you know, I need to take 5 classes, or I would like permission for 6 classes. This is where you can fill out all that information. So if you need to take 5 classes and every single one of them does require permission or has a prerequisite, go ahead and fill those out and then fill out your 5th course here. And in the comments, write, you know, this is a required course, or I really need to take this course, or something like that. Okay, are there any questions about course requests? Okay, it looks like we have some questions about the medical forms. So Tdap booster is not available in China. Oh yes, okay, so our office is aware, and our health center is also aware that there is an exception for Chinese students when it comes to the Tdap, because we do know that's not available. So yes, for all of our Chinese students, complete the rest of your form. We'll send it to our health center to get that health hold waived. And then when you arrive on campus, you will need to go to our health center to get that booster. And then also the antibody titer blood test cannot be done in China. So yes, and again, this is a very specific exception for our Chinese students. Our health center is aware of this exception. So if you are a Chinese student, go ahead and complete as much as you can. As I said, the health hold will be temporarily waived, and then it will be put back in place when you arrive on campus. So you'll need to go to them, complete your health form, get those vaccines or titers as necessary, and then your health hold will be removed. Did you all have any questions about course requests? Oh, you're welcome. Okay. we'll move on to the next section.
Okay, so we're going to start wrapping things up and talking about UGA housing. So there are two options. There's on-campus housing and there's off-campus housing. For on-campus housing, there are limited spaces. If you do choose this option, you would have the choice of a 4-bedroom suite in East Campus Village, what we call ECV, with 3 other students, 1 other exchange student and 2 UGA students. The cost for this, for the application fee, it would be $35. For the semester fee, it would be $3,636. All these costs will be billed to your student account and will be paid after you've arrived on campus. So these costs include all utilities, so lights, electricity, all of these things, including cable and internet. For registration information, that will be available in the post-acceptance webinar, which again will be happening March 29th. So for off-campus housing, there are 2 different options. You can have a furnished apartment or an unfurnished apartment, and this will be available at varying prices and with varying amenities. So these are accessible to campus, usually through the Athens transit buses, which run regularly between apartment complexes and campus. And Athens Transit is free to UGA students, so once you have your student ID, you can just use that to take transportation for free. So living off campus can be cheaper than on campus. There are many options in the downtown area, and International Student Life has an off-campus housing guide, which that link is there. So for our exchange program timeline, so the deadline for application and course requests is March 15th. For health immunization forms, that's March 30th. The arrival date, if you are attending our ISL, International Student Life Orientation, which we strongly recommend, is August 3rd through 4th. So orientation would be August 4th through 9th. And the arrival dates, if you're not attending the International Student Life Orientation, is August 10th through 11th. For our Office of Global Engagement Orientation, for those of you who did not attend the International Student Life Orientation, that would be August 12th, and fall classes begin August 14th. So I did want to point out, where do you see the stars for August 3rd and August 10th? Those are the dates that we will offer pickup from in Athens to your accommodations. So yes, the 3rd and 4th, I apologize. The 3rd and 4th. Okay, and the 10th and 11th as well.
Yeah, so the stars are to indicate, so we understand that a lot of students are coming from their home countries at different times and perhaps are stopping in other US cities first and then coming to Atlanta. And so we recognize that, sometimes there are going to be varying times when you'll be arriving on campus. And so on the 3rd and 4th, we will be able to provide you with a pickup service. These will be student volunteers who will be able to pick you up here in Athens, not in Atlanta, and we'll provide you with all this information in your post-acceptance webinar. But we'll be able to provide you with that pickup service, take you to your dorm, get you checked in, etc. The stars are to indicate that if you choose to come on the 3rd or on the 9th, you will have to pay an additional fee to stay in on-campus housing. So I believe on the 3rd, it's around $50. And on the 9th for early check-in, it's going to be around $25. And these are charges that would be billed directly to your student account. So just to clarify, if you arrived on August 3rd and you wanted to attend ISL orientation, you would have to pay an additional $50. If you arrived on August 4th, which is the first day of ISL orientation, you would not need to pay that additional fee. Now, if you attended ISL orientation 4th through 9th, and then wanted to move into your on-campus housing, which the official date of move-in for on-campus housing is the 10th, you would need to pay that small fee on the 9th for early move-in. So we want to give you this information ahead of time so that you can make decisions about when you'd like to arrive on campus. And again, those are specific for on-campus housing. So if you attend ISL orientation, but then you're moving off campus, clearly you do not have to pay an early move-in fee unless that's something that is specific to your off-campus amenities. And that OGE orientation on the 12th is only required, or excuse me, strongly recommended for students who do not attend ISL orientation. We will be covering topics that are covered during ISL orientation, so you do not need to attend if you've been to ISL orientation, but we do strongly recommend attending at least one of those, simply because it's going to acquaint you to campus, help you meet other exchange students, and then cover some very exchange-specific information about paying your student accounts, getting registered for classes if you don't have that done yet, etc. So more information about these will be available at our upcoming webinar, but we wanted to give you these dates so that you can start thinking about, flight arrangements and to have all that information about, the different financial components.
Okay, so the topics we'll be covering in our post-acceptance webinar, March 29th, the StudyAway Portal, post-decision documents, so questionnaires, materials, and signature documents, immigration, DS 2019, and estimated budget, course registration, student account holds, UGA email address, housing, student account payments, health insurance, meal plan, arrival on campus, and international student life orientation. Are there any questions before we end this webinar?
All right, well, thank you all so much for participating in this webinar. We hope that it was helpful for you. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. This webinar is going to be posted online on our website, and we'll go ahead and also send out these slides so that you can have the hyperlinks and you can review the information as you're gearing up for completion of your various applications. We really look forward to meeting you all in person in August, and we hope you all have a great rest of the day.